Hello everyone, welcome to the Martial Arts Show. We've got another interview today, and this is with my instructor, my first instructor I should say, Kim Macrae. Welcome Kim to the Martial Arts Show.
Thanks for inviting me on, Andrew. Happy to be here.
Excellent. So what I thought we'd first talk about, Kim, is a little bit about your history, how it started, and the influences you've had in your early stages of training in Taekwondo. So,
Yeah, okay.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but you started learning Taekwondo in university, is that correct?
That's right, Andrew. Yeah, Andrew. Sorry, mate. The University of New England. It was 1974, quite a while ago.
Yeah. Wow. And what was the system of Taekwondo that you studied at that time?
Andrew, it was root Taekwondo. So I was in my second year at uni. As I said, it was 1974, and there was actually a demonstration done at the University Union building one lunchtime, and Master Chong Chulri, who was the head of, still is the head of Root Taekwondo in Australia, was leading the demonstration, and there was a group of students who trained at that time at the University Union building. And I was really impressed. It was just quite stunning. I'd never seen anything like it. This is 1974. Remember, martial arts was quite new to Australia. I came from a small country town, so it was certainly the first time I'd ever seen anything like it. It really impressed me, and just the flying kicks and the spectacle, the breaks and so on. But there was also a very attractive young lady in the demonstration team, so Andrew, I was quite keen to go on and check the classes.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's probably why a lot of students pick certain subjects, I think, in high school and university, maybe.
I think that's got a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's life, isn't it?
So, just talk us through the journey from there to the point where you started instructing. So, obviously, you were a student for how long, and then, where did it all take you before you started teaching?
Yeah, well, Andrew, I actually started teaching quite quickly. It was only, I think it was a little bit over 18 months, and the way it happened was look, it might have been 2 years max, but I was sort of thrown into it, and the way it happened, it was a university club, and it was fairly young. It only been operating for about a year or 18 months, I think, when I joined. The guy that was instructing when I joined was a Malaysian guy, and he was brilliant, and I really enjoyed him. He was a great instructor. He was very motivating, he was great to watch. And he left university, gosh, I think it was probably only 6 months into my journey, and it might have been 12 months. But there was another guy there who'd been training for a while who was very, very good. A guy called, gosh, what was his name? Terry Campbell. Now, I know that he stopped instructing, but he was very good, physically very good, strong, very fit, again, a very motivating sort of guy. But he took over after Chong San was this guy's name. And, Terry took over after him, and after only about another 18 months or so, it wasn't that long, he also finished university and went off to work. At that point, I think I was a blue belt, something like that. I wasn't very highly ranked, but I was very, very keen. At that point, I was training 5 days a week. And there was nobody else, there was no instructor stepped in, and there was nobody senior to me. So I had a choice, either step in and start teaching or see the club fold. And because I was so very keen on it, I decided to teach, and it was actually an absolutely life-changing decision, because I found a vocation. At that point, I was going through university, and I was, sort of partying too hard and all those sorts of things. And I wasn't really that sure about what I was going to do. I'd gone along with the plan of doing arts law. Anyway, long story short, I stepped in, started teaching, and after only a couple of months, I found that I really loved it and wasn't too bad as a teacher. So that's where my career really commenced. I was lucky to be able to get personal instruction from Master Reed, from Chong Chul Reed. and then I went on and, as you know, instructed some quite big schools over a number of years.
Okay. So you say 18 months. Were you quite at the rank of a black belt at that stage?
No, I was only a blue belt, Andrew. So
Oh, wow.
I didn't go for my black belt for another 2 years, so I know I'd have been training at least 3.5, 4 years.
Yeah, okay.
In total before I got my first black belt. So no, I was actually instructing as a blue belt and then as a brown belt at the University of New England Union for a couple of years.
Okay.
It may have been 3 years. Andrew, as I said, it's a long, long time ago. I'd have to look up my notes to get the exact time frames, but no, I didn't get my black belt until at least I think it was the 3.5 year mark, close to the 4 year mark. I'd finished uni because I was there for 5 years in total, and I'd actually moved to Dubbo in my first high school teaching position when I did a grading with Master. I went to Sydney for a special grading.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, yeah, you definitely were thrown in the deep end then, weren't you?
Sorry again?
I said you definitely were thrown in the deep end.
Yeah, I was thrown in the deep end. But, mate, it was good. It was, and actually, in a lot of ways, it was really good because I had to work out a lot of things myself, I guess, but you know, I feel in a lot of ways that's a good thing. And as you know as a teacher, the best way to learn is to teach.
Yeah.
You've got to really think about it. You've got to really think about how you can communicate it. And very often that makes you yourself learn more. You have to look more deeply and you work out how things work.
Mm-hmm.
So that really became a big part of my martial art career, is looking at, I started to research people, and you know, you'd look at what they did. I'd go and watch other clubs and train with other people and find how they do things and then integrate it into what I did.
Yeah. Okay.
So, yeah.
I mean, it's very, very true what you say too, and I think in the sense of learning from being a teacher, I think you can look at that in many aspects in life, can't you? That once you get in, you start teaching something, it's almost like you're going back to the beginning or get a better understanding.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely correct, Andrew. And as you know, well, you taught for many years as well, and all teachers who are dedicated teachers know that the best way to learn is to teach, and the best way to teach is to be learning as you're doing it.
Yes.
And as you know, different students respond to different learning styles, so you've got to think, well, how do I get across to this student, and what elements? Obviously, you want to teach a curriculum, but the other side of it is, I've always believed in adapting that curriculum enough for individual students to be able to better understand it or best understand it, so they can be the best them. That's what teachers want. Dedicated teachers want their students to become better than themselves.
Yeah. Okay. Many of our subscribers and YouTube watchers would have obviously heard of Taekwondo, and many may have heard of Re-Taekwondo. Could you maybe talk about, what is the difference between Taekwondo, Re-Taekwondo? What's this name Re all about?
Yeah, that's a good question, Andrew. Look, firstly, Re-Taekwondo is an ITF system, so an International Taekwondo Federation system, not a WTF or World Taekwondo Federation system. As people who know anything about Taekwondo know, they're quite different.
Yes. The
World Taekwondo Federation system is the Olympic system, and it's much more footing-oriented. They have different patterns. There's politics behind it. I won't go into that in detail, but long story short, in the 60s, the late 60s, the South Korean government wanted to do a soft diplomacy exercise with the rest of the world. They wanted to take Korean culture to the rest of the world. So I think there were a total of 18 instructors who were all ex-army, all ex-military people in the South, from the South Korean army. I believe they were all direct disciples of General Choi Hong-hai, the guy who was the originator of the International Taekwondo Federation in Korea in 1955. So these guys, these 18 instructors, were all given territories. Some went to the US. There were 3 that came to Australia, and those 3 were 3 Ree brothers, Choi, Chong Chul, Hyop, and there was another one who I never met, and I can't recall his name.
Is that Yun?
Yun, that's correct.
Yun.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And I met 2 of them and trained very extensively with Chong Chongchul, as I said, and he was the head of the style. And like lots of systems, he called it after his own name. It was an International Taekwondo Federation.
Okay.
It was sponsored originally by the South Korean government, but it was a business. So it was very, very big at one stage. I know it's still quite big, but through the 70s, 80s, 90s in Australia, they had hundreds of schools. It was all over Australia, and Chongchul Reid would just travel. That was his job. He would travel and grade these various schools and obviously coach the instructors, the head instructors.
Okay.
So look, that's basically what Taekwondo was, and I know at that point in time there were a lot of other schools who took their names. They were XY, Bill's Taekwondo, Fred's Taekwondo, etc., etc.
Yes, yeah.
And karate and so on.
Yeah. Okay. So getting back onto your journey, after Taekwondo, the club. And that's when I sort of come in those later few years of Taekwondo, and I do remember the transition of our style or our club going independent, as many clubs did, and we had a few different names there: Bodyline Taekwondo and Chizen Taekwondo and all that sort of stuff. How did you find that transition going from such a large organisation such as where there was lots of people involved? To being an independent where it was basically all on your shoulders. What was that transition like?
Well, Andrew, honestly it was quite empowering because although the Taekwondo organisation was a very big organisation, at that point Chongchul had become, he was very business oriented, and he didn't encourage any interaction between various Taekwondo clubs, and because there were no tournaments. And also because he didn't, this is 17 years down the track, he wasn't instructing me much at all. He would see me every 3 months for a little while, he'd come and grade the students, but his focus was always on getting more new students. It was very business oriented, and I was very frustrated by that point in time. And I'd been, for years before that, had sort of become very interested in different systems and learning different things. Taekwondo was taught as an art rather than as a martial art, rather than as a martial sport art. Now the difference was that the sporting styles, as you know, where there's competitions, there's tournaments and so on, well, you learn a lot quicker in certain ways because you're thrown in against other people. You've got to adapt to different styles because it's competitive. You've got to work out, there are positives and negatives on both sides. The martial art is great for individual development. It's great for, but as far as self-defense and sparring and fighting and all that sort of stuff, it's not so effective because you're not getting influences from other people.
Yes.
So it was actually great because we've been interacting, myself and other students, like Andrew Welch and so on, have been interacting with other systems and other styles and other clubs on the tournament scene, and we found that really eye-opening. Because, it's great to see other people's influences, the way they kick, the sort of techniques they depend on or enjoy, the sort of techniques that work in certain situations, whether they're tournament situations or fight situations, because we went to different tournaments, as you know. We did lots of different systems, the non-contact, the full contact, the ring karate, the kickboxing. So, it was a very eye-opening, and that was what I want. The reason I left Taekwondo was because we weren't getting the opportunity to interact with other people. We weren't getting the input from different styles. And as you know, each style has its, particularly if it's a traditional style, it has its strong points, and arguably they have their weak points. And I was really interested in finding, to me, what's the better system, and it all depends on what you want to do. If you want to do it for art, if you want to do forms, well, that's one thing. If you want to fight, that's a different thing. If you want to compete in non-contact or soft contact or hard contact or full contact or systems like caution with equipment, there's all these different elements to the martial arts. It's a very, very broad field.
Yes, yeah. And I think too, country town well, I call a country town now living in Melbourne, but Dubbo technically is a city. So forgive me, Dubbo people. But being I think it's fair enough to call it a country town. A place like Dubbo, you don't really have the advantage of having multiple clubs of the same style, do you? So you're really missing out if you don't, besides what you're saying, but you're missing out on even just being a part of local martial arts tournaments if you don't interact with other styles and what they do.
Correct, Andrew, that's exactly right, yeah. And fortunately, Dubbo, the Central West, at that point in time, there weren't a lot of other Taekwondo clubs around, but there were a lot of other clubs and very, very good ones.
Yes.
One of the really lucky things was that initially we didn't have to travel very far at all to be exposed to some really good competitors, really good practitioners. But yes, you're right. But that was one of the reasons years earlier we'd started to pull away from Reed, because we were going and training with these other people from different styles like Budokan and Kyokushin and so on,
yes,
various karate styles, and we were finding, wow, these guys have got something really good to teach.
Yeah. Different,
able to adapt what we were doing and so on. So,
yeah.
So yes, you're right. There wasn't a lot of depth of Taekwondo, but there was fortunately a very, very big depth of martial art in general.
Yes.
In the Central West and in the regional areas. In fact, I remember when we first started, there were genuine world titles holders in, for example, Corsi.
Yeah.
There were some very strong fighters, and these guys were international winners. Yeah. So.
Excellent. Now, for our first part, we've run out of time, so we're just going to stop now, have a quick break, and then we'll be back for part 2 with Kim Macrae. So stick around, everyone. Remember to hit the subscribe and like button, and I'll attach the next episode onto this one. So hang tight, keep watching.